They were only 9, 3 little lights in cleats and jerseys, too young to know evil could wear a mother's face. The obituary said they died peacefully in their sleep. It didn't mention the way their bodies were positioned, as if she'd kissed them goodnight just before ending their lives. It didn't mention the way she disappeared at sunrise. No note, no goodbye, just a lipstick-stained coffee mug left on the counter and silence where their laughter used to be. In a town where Sundays meant soccer and scraped knees, the triple funeral was held under gray skies. People wept. But no one could answer the question that burned on every trembling lip. Why would she do it? The final weekend started like a memory. Clear blue skies, a slight breeze, and the smell of orange slices and sunscreen. A small crowd gathered at Roosevelt Park, folding chairs facing the soccer field. On the field, the triplets, Elias, Evan, and Elle, zipped past defenders, laughing. They played as if the world would never turn cold. On the sideline, their mother, Camille, clapped with one hand, a lavender scarf wound loosely around her wrist. Her sunglasses shielded her eyes, but her smile, shallow, stretched, barely touched her cheeks. Camille was 45, but carried herself like a woman who refused to fade. Bronze-toned skin, sculpted arms, and waist-length dark hair tied in a glossy knot. She was always the most overdressed mother on the field. Today, she wore a slim white blouse that clung at her hips and jeans tight enough to turn heads. Her husband, Darnell, stood beside her in his usual quiet posture, team jacket, whistle around his neck, clipboard in hand. He was dependable, steady, and utterly invisible to her. "You're not watching," she murmured to him as Evan scored. "I saw it," he said, eyes still on his notes. Camille turned away, her lips twitching. Across the field, a man stretched beside a set of free weights in the outdoor gym area. Lean, shirtless, glistening in the sun. Younger, a stranger. His eyes met hers just for a second. Later that day, while the triplets devoured ice cream in the back seat, Camille walked to her car slowly, heels clicking on pavement. She passed the outdoor gym again. The stranger was still there, now shirtless, wiping his brow with a towel. He caught her looking. "You checking my form?" he asked. She paused. "Just checking." His grin was boyish, a little too bold. "Most women your age don't stop. They pretend they don't see." "I'm not most women," Camille replied. That night, while Darnell slept with one arm draped off the bed, she stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair. Her reflection stared back, smooth skin, practiced poise, but the eyes looked tired. She let the robe slip from her shoulders, ran her hands down her stomach. She still had the body of a woman in her prime. Why did she feel invisible? The next day, Camille returned to the gym alone. She didn't tell Darnell. She didn't need to. She wore a crimson sports bra and leggings that curved over her hips. The stranger, he introduced himself as Leo, spotted her on the rowing machine. "You sure you're married?" he teased. "Why?" "'Cause married women don't usually sweat like they're trying to undo something." She didn't respond. She just rowed harder. By the end of the week, they were texting. At first it was fitness advice, then voice notes, then midnight calls. He told her she sounded like temptation. She told him he made her feel like a doorway had opened inside her, one she forgot even existed. Their first time was in a motel room 22 minutes from town. Camille arrived wearing nothing under her coat. He kissed her against the door, clumsy and wild, but she didn't want slow. She wanted to be taken, bitten, gasping, alive. She moaned into his shoulder, clutching him with both hunger and rage. "Don't stop," she whispered as he lifted her onto the dresser, knocking over the lamp. "I wasn't planning to," he breathed. They didn't leave the room for 4 hours. She took the lead every time, trying new angles, guiding his hands, riding him until she collapsed. In the dim light, they talked. She told him about the years she wasted being good. I gave this body to a man who never knew what to do with it. Then let me make up for it, Leo said, kissing her thigh. By the second week, they were meeting almost daily. Sometimes in his car, sometimes in the back of the gym. Camille kept the kids busy with friends. Darnell didn't ask questions. He never had. One afternoon, Camille arrived in a silk dress with no underwear. He kissed her stomach before she even finished locking the door. "You're insane," he whispered. "Not insane," she said. "Awake." But cracks were forming. Darnell had begun to notice the late nights, the cold kisses, the way she didn't ask about the kid's day anymore. One night, while she showered, he checked her phone. The messages, raw, explicit, froze his breath. He didn't confront her. He just sat on the edge of the bed, hands clenched, hearing the water run. Meanwhile, Camille and Leo began to dream out loud. "You ever just think about vanishing?" she asked one night. "Every day. You, me, some island. I start over. You train people. I run a beach bar. I don't even tell them I have kids." "You serious?" "I'm tired of everyone needing me. I want to want." Leo blinked. He laughed, but nervously. "That's dark." "You haven't seen dark." She began writing lists in her journal. Escape routes. Non-extradition countries. She watched the kids differently now, not cruelly, but like someone studying photographs before locking them away. Darnell tried one last time. A quiet dinner. He cooked her favorite meal. Put on their old playlist. "I miss you," he said gently. Camille set down her fork. "You miss the version of me that needed you." He looked up, confused. "What are you talking about?" She stared back. "I don't want to be a wife anymore. I want to be a woman again." That night, she lay between the triplets as they slept, their warm bodies curled around her. Elle's arm rested on her stomach. Camille didn't sleep. Her eyes stayed open until sunrise. The next morning, she texted Leo. "Ready when you are." Camille started avoiding mirrors. Not because of how she looked, she still turned heads, but because she couldn't hold her own gaze for more than a few seconds. Every time she did, the question lingered, "How far are you willing to go?" The answer was closer now, closer than the sound of Elle's laughter in the hallway, closer than Darnell's quiet humming in the kitchen. She had rehearsed the goodbye so many times, it felt more real than the life she was still pretending to live. Leo was growing impatient. "You said you were serious," he whispered as they lay in the back seat of his car, fogged windows glowing from the street lamp above. "I am." "Then let's go. Leave the guilt. Just go. They'll look for me." "Let them." Camille kissed him hard, pulling his hair. She climbed onto him with a kind of hunger that felt like grief. After, her mascara ran down her cheek and she didn't bother wiping it. The final plan took shape over 3 days. She cleaned the house top to bottom, made their favorite dinners, kissed Darnell like everything was okay. On Wednesday, she took the triplets to the park and watched them race toward the swings. Elle tripped and scraped her knee. Camille knelt, kissed the wound, and said softly, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here." That night, she lay awake as Darnell snored lightly beside her. At 2:14 a.m., she got out of bed, barefoot, and walked silently down the hall. The triplets' door creaked. She entered like a shadow. They slept in a triple bunk, Evan on top, Elias in the middle, Elle on the bottom. A soft lullaby from Elle's sound machine played on loop, twinkling stars and faint rain. Camille carried a tray from the kitchen, 3 small cups of cocoa, warm and sweet. She'd crushed the sleeping pills 30 minutes earlier. She sat on the edge of Elle's bed and nudged her awake. "Mom." "Shh, baby. I made your favorite cocoa." "Why?" Elle mumbled, sitting up. Camille smiled, almost genuinely. Because you're my sunshine. She helped her drink it, humming softly. Then she moved to Elias, then Evan. It didn't take long. Their bodies slowed, breaths deepened. She kissed each one on the forehead, her lips trembling. Mommy loves you more than the sky, she whispered. Don't forget that. Then came the final step. From the kitchen cabinet, a second vial. This one wasn't just sleeping pills. She had spent weeks researching doses. She wanted it fast, peaceful, final. She returned to their beds and injected each child with a small dose through a needle she'd stolen from Leo's gym. Evan twitched once, then went still. Elle sighed in her sleep and never inhaled again. Elias didn't even flinch.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Camille stood in the center of the room and waited, just waited, until she couldn't hear anything but the lullaby. At 4:17 a.m., she stepped out into the cold dawn, a duffel bag over her shoulder. No note, no tears. By the time Darnell stirred awake, the house smelled faintly of cocoa and baby powder. He yawned, scratched his neck, and walked to the triplets' room. He wanted to kiss them goodbye before leaving for early practice. The door was ajar. "Guys?" he called. No answer. He stepped in. The silence hit first, then the stillness, then the smell, not of death, but of something too still, too quiet. He touched Elle's arm. Cold. His scream cracked the morning. By 6:09 a.m., sirens wailed down the street. The neighbors emerged, robes clutched, hands shaking. Detective Arlen Locke arrived at 6:51 a.m., coffee in hand, face unreadable. A tall black man in a charcoal trench coat, reserved, calm. He walked the hallway like a man who'd seen ghosts before. He looked at the children, then at Darnell, who was slumped against the wall, his palms red from pounding the floor. "She just left," Darnell whispered. "She left." Camille's car was gone. Her clothes, gone. Her phone, still charging on the kitchen counter. She had taken her passport and a single photograph, her and Leo in a motel mirror, her dress pulled halfway down, both smiling like teenagers. The forensics report came back. Overdoses. Traces of zolpidem and potassium chloride. Administered post-sedation. "She wanted them calm before she killed them," Locke said softly, staring at the injection sites. By noon, the town was swarmed with reporters. Photos of the triplets at their last soccer game appeared on every screen. Perfect family, shattered. Mother missing after children found dead. Where is Camille? The pastor wept on camera. She taught Sunday school. She braided Elle's hair before service. Locke sat quietly in his office and watched the headlines scroll, his hands folded, his eyes narrowed. In his gut, he knew she wasn't gone forever. He just had to find her before the world turned her into a myth. The sand was warm beneath her feet. Mexico smelled like salt, tequila, and second chances. Camille walked barefoot along the shoreline in a black bikini, oversized sunglasses hiding her eyes. Her hair, once perfectly coiled, now hung in salt-streaked waves. She didn't look back, not at the phone vibrating with news alerts in the hotel room, not at the children in her dreams, and certainly not at the man who still loved her back home. Leo stretched behind her, bronze and shirtless, snapping a photo of her from behind. "Your husband ever see you like this?" he teased. She glanced over her shoulder. "He never knew what to do with me." The first days felt like a dream. Long mornings tangled in hotel sheets. Fruit and mezcal on the balcony. Camille led every session, fierce, commanding, insatiable. She tied his wrists with her bikini straps, bit his neck, rode him while whispering fantasies into his ear. "You ever wonder," she breathed one night, straddling him slowly, "how it feels to be worshipped?" Leo grinned. "I'm trying, baby." "No," she said, gripping his throat lightly. "Try harder." But pleasure was a drug that never lasted, and guilt has sharp teeth. By the end of the first week, Camille stopped sleeping. She sat in the hotel bathroom at 2 a.m., rocking gently, phone in hand. The homepage was full of their faces: Elle's gap-toothed smile, Evan's missing front tooth, Elias and his neon cleats. She closed the screen, threw the phone in the toilet, flushed. Leo began to notice. "You okay?" he asked as they lay under a ceiling fan, spinning lazily. "I'm perfect," she replied. He didn't believe her, but he didn't press. They moved into a beachside rental, a small white villa with a palm tree out front. Leo started training tourists in the yard. Camille walked into town daily, always wearing shades, always with her scarf around her wrist. One afternoon, he found her crying silently in the bathtub. The water was cold. Her body was wrinkled and pale. "What's wrong?" "They're cold," she whispered. "Who?" "The babies. I think they're cold." Leo took a step back. He did what she asked, but afterward he sat on the edge of the bed, shaken. "What happened back there?" She didn't answer. 3 days later, a postcard arrived. It was addressed to their old mailbox in the States. No name, just a drawing of a beach and a heart drawn in red ink. Locke received a scan from Darnell, who hadn't touched the original. "She sent it," he said, voice hollow. "She's taunting us," Locke replied. Back at his desk, the detective laid out a map. Pins, strings, a list of airports. A look through security footage finally gave him what he needed: Camille boarding a bus from California. She'd crossed the border on foot with Leo, no luggage, just her scarf and a purse. Locke called in a favor with the FBI. "We find her," he said, "alive." Meanwhile, Leo was unraveling. The beach was no longer enough. Camille refused to leave the house. She sat on the porch every morning staring at the horizon, chain-smoking local cigarettes, mumbling phrases under her breath. "You ever think we'll be caught?" he asked. She didn't blink. "Only if you talk too much." One night, he found her burning a baby photo in a tin dish. The flames lit her face like a mask. "I'm freeing them," she whispered. Leo couldn't sleep after that. He started looking up extradition laws. Quietly messaged an old friend on WhatsApp. "Need help. Made a mistake. She's not who I thought." That message reached the FBI. Within 36 hours, Locke was on a plane. Back in Mexico, Camille felt the walls closing in. She had another nightmare: the triplets in soccer uniforms, holding hands, standing at the edge of the water. "I'm tired," she said to Leo over breakfast. "I think I might walk into the ocean." "Camille," he said slowly, "we need to talk." She didn't like the tone. "You're scared," she said. "You want to run." He shook his head. "I already did." She narrowed her eyes. "You told someone?" "No." She stood. "Yes, you did. I can smell guilt, Leo." He grabbed her wrist. "Don't." She slapped him. He backed away, stunned. She started pacing, pulling at her hair. That night, he told the FBI agents where to find her. The next morning, he invited Camille for a boat ride. "It's our anniversary," he said. She softened. "1 month?" 1 month free, he said with a smile. Let's celebrate. They rowed out past the jetty. Camille let the wind tangle her hair. She kissed him once, too hard. At the shore, plainclothes officers waited. When the boat returned, she climbed out barefoot, laughing. Then she saw Locke. He stood at the end of the dock, coat off, sleeves rolled up, silent. Her face drained. She turned to Leo, eyes wide. You bastard. She ran. They tackled her in the sand. She screamed, kicked, sobbed. Don't touch me. I'm their mother. I loved them. Locke knelt beside her as she was cuffed. Then why did you kill them? He asked. She didn't answer. Just wept into the dirt. They flew her back in silence. Camille sat in a window seat, wrists shackled beneath a blanket, her eyes fixed on the clouds outside. No tears now, no mask, just a dull stare that stretched beyond the sky. Detective Locke didn't speak to her during the flight. He sat 2 rows behind, flipping through the triplets' autopsy reports again, not because he needed to, but because he refused to forget what she'd done. He needed the weight of it, the stillness of the little bodies, the betrayal sewn into their final bedtime. At the airport, Camille was swarmed by cameras and cold air. Her hair was wild, her skin pale. Someone in the crowd screamed, "Monster!" as she was loaded into the van. She didn't flinch. Her mugshot, tired eyes, cracked lips, no makeup, was posted within the hour. Back in town, Darnell didn't leave the house. He watched the news from the floor of the triplets' room, his back against the bunk bed, arms wrapped around Elle's pink soccer ball. I want to testify, he told Locke over the phone. Court proceedings began quickly. The prosecution wanted the death penalty. Camille's lawyers tried a different path, a cocktail of mental illness claims, trauma, and a distorted sense of reality due to years of emotional neglect. She didn't kill them out of malice, one attorney said. She thought she was freeing herself and them from a life she no longer recognized. Locke narrowed his eyes from the gallery. She sedated them, he whispered to himself. She kissed them goodnight. The trial was public, packed. Darnell entered through the back, wearing a black suit that hung too loose on him now. He hadn't eaten in days. When Camille was brought in, he didn't look away. The prosecutor opened with photos of the triplets, alive, laughing, playing, then moved to crime scene photos, cold, pale, quiet. The silence in the courtroom was suffocating. Then came the evidence. The cocoa mugs, traced with her lipstick, the crushed sleeping pills in the kitchen, the stolen vial from Leo's gym, her passport movement, Leo's confession, and most damning of all, a video recovered from Leo's cloud storage. A mirror selfie of them in the motel, her whispering, "One day I'll be free." All of it gone. Camille's attorneys argued breakdown. She was under the influence of a toxic relationship. She was emotionally manipulated. She dissociated. She blacked out. The jury didn't blink. Then came the testimony. Leo sat in the witness chair, his leg bouncing. She told me her kids were weights, anchors, that they sucked the life out of her. She says she'd hurt them, the prosecutor asked. She said she didn't have room in her next life for baggage. What did you think that meant? I thought she meant Darnell, Leo said. I didn't think. He broke down. Then came Darnell. He walked slowly to the stand, voice hoarse. She wasn't broken, he said. She was selfish. Tell us about Camille as a mother. He paused. His lips trembled. She used to hold Elle's hand while she slept. She used to sing to Evan when he had nightmares. She loved them. I thought she loved them. The prosecutor nodded. Do you believe she loved them when she killed them? He looked at Camille. His ex-wife sat stiff, expressionless. No, he whispered. You don't murder what you love. Camille didn't look up. Finally, Detective Locke took the stand. His words were clean, precise. She planned this, he said. This was not a break. This was a strategy. She executed 3 coordinated doses of poison. She researched it. She procured it. She administered it with care. The defense tried one last spin: childhood trauma, postpartum echoes, midlife psychosis. But the jury looked at her the way burned parents look at fire. It took 6 hours. The verdict: guilty on all counts. First-degree murder of all 3 children. The courtroom was silent as Camille stood. The judge, a 60-year-old black woman with gray coils and stern hands, stared at her. You will never again walk where children laugh. You will never again see a playground without bars between you and it. You will never again taste freedom. Then the sentence: life in prison without parole. Camille blinked once. As she was led away, she turned her head to Darnell and mouthed something. He didn't try to read it. He just looked at her like she had already died. Locke walked out of the courtroom without a word. He didn't like applause. He didn't like victories. He preferred quiet justice, the kind that lingered. The wind outside was cold. Justice had been served. But the hole those kids left, it would never fill. The prison walls were a dull gray, and they didn't care that Camille used to be beautiful. Inmates called her Triplet. Some refused to speak to her. Others whispered behind her back. One tried to spit on her in the laundry line. She didn't react. Her cell was bare, concrete, metal, cold. No mirror, no photos, just a scratch in the wall where the last inmate had counted the days. Camille counted nothing. She refused therapy, refused to speak to guards. She ate in silence, slept facing the wall, and stared at nothing for hours. Some days she wouldn't move at all. Her cellmate, a woman convicted of drowning her husband, once asked, "Do you think about them?" Camille didn't respond. But that night, she screamed in her sleep, over and over, "Not yet, not yet. Mommy's not done." Back in town, the triplets' soccer jerseys were framed and hung in the community center. Their teammates planted a tree in their honor. Darnell stood at the back during the dedication, sunglasses hiding his eyes. He didn't speak. He just watched the leaves move in the wind, 3 saplings twisting together. He'd sold the house months earlier. Couldn't bear to hear the creak of the bunk bed anymore. He moved into a small apartment near the school where he still coached, still wore the whistle. But his voice was different now, softer, sadder, slower. Once, a student asked him why he didn't talk about his kids. "They were loud," he said quietly, "and the best part of me." Detective Locke transferred not long after the trial. He never said why. Some say he grew tired of being followed by ghosts. On his last day in town, he visited the cemetery, left 3 small whistles on the headstones, whispered their names, and walked away without turning back. Camille received a letter one spring. It was from Darnell. It contained only one line. "You made a choice. Now you live with it." She tore it up, but she kept one piece, the part with his name. Every night she placed it under her pillow. Every night she dreamed of Elle reaching for her in the dark. And every night she woke up before the hug. Some crimes live in headlines. Some crimes echo in courtrooms. But the worst ones live in silence, where a mother once rocked her children to sleep only to carry their names into her own prison of memory. They called her a monster. She called it freedom. But in the end, what she built was a cage. And justice, true justice, was the sound of three little voices silenced no longer by death, but by remembrance. Thank you for watching this heartbreaking true crime story from True Crime's Altar. What are your thoughts on Camille's actions? Was this a crime of madness or pure selfishness? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who believes justice should never be forgotten. We'll see you next time, where the truth always returns.